Hello, I'm Ben Witten on behalf of Team 41, and welcome to our Comp 3004 final project demo. I'm just going to go through the various success scenarios for our program, and uh, you'll just kind of see it work. Over here on the terminal, this is not part of the final product, but it will give you a better understanding as to what's happening. So if we start off the patient on a shockable rhythm, such as ventricular fibrillation, and we turn the AED on, as you can see, it will first self-check, and then it will display various messages to the user to check the responsiveness of the patient, etc. Eventually, it will move on to step 2 here, where it will tell them to call for help. And then it will move on to and stop at stage 3, where it asks us to plug in the pads. Now this will not continue until you actually press the plug unplug pads button, which will plug the pads into the AED. So this will continue to telling the user to attach the pads to the patient's chest, at which pace it analyzes. At the moment, there is no patient attached, so it will just continuously loop like this. If we do add a patient, then it will actually analyze them. It will display the heart rate and tell you that a shock is advised. And once it delivers the shock, it will decrement the battery and will increment the shock's counter. At which point, it will tell the user to start CPR and move on to that step. The button here is flashing to give you a general sense of the rhythm, and you can change the depth of the compression here. You'll notice on the side of the LED screen there is the depth bar, and this will change whenever you press the compress button. So right now we're too shallow, so it will not quite reach the minimum depth bar, and it will tell you to push harder. If we go to the minimum depth, which is 2 inches, and we press compress, it'll tell you it's a good compression and will reach the bar. If you exceed it, the line will exceed the indicator. Now the program, just for testing purposes and the sake of simulation, it will only wait for 5 compressions to move on. So if we do 5 good compressions, it will stop CPR and we'll go back to analysis. If we change the heart rhythm, it will change the graph. In this case, it will also advise a shock because it is one of the shockable rhythms, and will shock the patient. Now you might have noticed it just changed. That is because it assigns a random heart rate afterwards, once again just for simulation's sake, and will continue to CPR. If we move on to the next heart rhythm, which is asystole, and we compress enough as to go back to analysis stage, it will analyze the heart rhythm and will display the proper graph. And in this case, the same happens for sinus. Now, in the case of sinus, that is the success scenario in which the patient is healthy and you leave them. So the behavior in this case is to just continuously analyze their heart rate for any changes. This allows us, if the heart rate does change for any reason, to continue from where we left off. So if we do change it, you'll see it will analyze that and shock advised. Now, by no means should this break. As you can see, if I go back to it after CPR, while it's analyzing, and let's say you unplug the pads, it goes back to stage 3 and tells you to plug it in. If you plug them in, and then while analyzing you remove them from the patient, it will also not break and just tell you to check the patient. Now the last bit of behavior to really go over is in the case battery completely depletes. In this case, you will see that once we get to low battery, which is 20% or below, it will prompt a message to change the batteries. Now you can do this by pressing the change battery button, in which case it will resume from where it left off. However, just to show you the other case for self-check, I'm going to turn off the AED and then turn it back on, and you can see that the self-check will fail, and it will tell you to change batteries. Now if we change them, it will continue, and it will continue running as normal. Now what you just saw there is it skipping from self-check straight to step 3, which is attaching the defib pads. That is because they are plugged in and attached to the patient. Now one last thing, and it's that if you turn it off at any point, including CPR, the entire AED will in fact turn off correctly, and when you turn it back on, it will be completely reset, save for the battery. And with that, concludes the demo. That is the entire main success scenario of our AED, and I believe that covers most, if not all, of the various tests on the traceability matrix we made.